Felt fucking wiped out.
Yeah, no way.
Fuck that. I mean, we made money and that's fine, but fuck that. Hello, I'm Danger.
I'm a dirty Ging'r.
And we're here to discuss an event that we, I don't know if we participated or just witnessed it.
I feel like you participate. There was multiple people there.
That's true. There was
couples.
It was all couples, because technically we were a couple.
It's true.
We showed up. It's two people. We showed up together.
We didn't sit in separate seats.
We sat next to each other.
Yep.
We watched the film together. We got Morb'd on.
Hard.
Oh, it was a hard morbing.
Hard morbing.
I think the best way to approach this is just try and piece together the plot from beginning to end, making notes as we go along. When good things happened, when things happened that we found entertaining or funny or cool or whatever, we should definitely make an effort to point that out, because there's not going to be a lot of that.
They're few and far between.
Yes. The movie starts off. It doesn't. I don't recall it giving a specific location. It's just some sort of jungle.
It's Costa Rica. In
Costa Rica. Okay, it's not I don't know if jungles get names or not, but it's in Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
Helicopter lands on a cliff outside the mouth of a cave. I'm sure they say Michael Morbius's name in that scene. I don't exactly remember the wording.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do until he's a child.
I want that to be true, so I'm going to say that that's what happened. So a group of people get out of the helicopter, approach the mouth of this cave. They set up some sort of I'm going to be generous and call it a trap. A wire. It's like a frame with like strings that go down.
Technology we don't know of.
True. I think that's the problem. We're not educated enough to fully understand the scope of the film.
Of LED bat catching technology.
Yes. They set up this frame. Morbius cuts his hand open with a machete. As the blood flows out, he sticks his hand through the whatever this trap is supposed to be. And then, we've also established that these bats swarm something like aerial piranhas.
They can devour 10 times their weight.
Right. To the side of the shot, there's some sort of corpse. I'm assuming some sort of ox or something. How the fuck a 500-pound animal gets up the side of a cliff outside of the cave? I couldn't tell you.
It's a whole flock of them, carried them up.
That's true. It's a
cloud of bats.
And a cloud of ox.
Yeah.
He sticks his hand, the bloody hand, through the trap to draw the bat. I'm assuming that's what draws the bats out. It seemed pretty one-to-one there. I don't know why I think it's a trap that he set up, because I don't recall any bats actually being caught in the trap.
No, they mostly go through.
And slam into the helicopter. There's like 5 other dudes that are like the team that he came with. They all run and hide in the helicopter, presumably because these bats are going to tear the flesh off their bones.
If anything, they killed a few bats.
As they collide with the helicopter?
Yeah.
There's definitely sound effects of like birds striking or bats striking the side of the helicopter. These 5 hardened jungle mercenary types run and hide in this helicopter while frail Jimmy, with his bloody hand, stands in front of the trap, seemingly totally fine.
He's not knocked over by the force of all the bats.
No, not at all.
Suspension of disbelief number 1.
Oh, well, if we're gonna make a list, this is gonna go for a minute here. All right, so 25 years earlier.
That's what we do. A cold open.
Yes, it's a cold open before we get to the actual movie, which is in fact just like 5 minutes of establishing scenes before we jump back to the present day. I assume they also doesn't tell us 25 years later or present day.
No, it's just present.
It just cuts back to Jared Leto as an adult. And granted, it wasn't. They didn't have Jared Leto as a child doing the.
They didn't de-age him?
No, they hired a kid. I'm assuming.
Yeah, that would be too expensive.
Because it didn't look quite like him. It's just they used the same name when addressing him, so I'm assuming it's supposed to be the same character. He's in Greece?
Yep.
Michael Morbius has an American accent, and as a child and as an adult. And at no point in the movie are his actual parents discussed or revealed or anything of that nature.
No, not really.
Why is this American boy with some sort of unnamed blood disease, why is he living at some sort of medical commune in Greece.
Suspension of disbelief number 2?
I mean, I guess we can call it that. Also, answer my questions.
I'm not sure.
Well, actually, I know the answer. The answer is to establish how he would have met another child with the same exact blood disease that he's got.
Who doesn't have the same accent as him?
Yeah, because Lucian,
Yes.
who is of Michael having seen so many other children come and go through this facility, just calls him Milo because it seems to be. I didn't quite get.
It's like a way of detaching yourself from the person because you know they may not stay around very long, like not naming a pet.
Yes, exactly.
Except he's giving a human a pet name.
The same name. Because he references, you're just the new Milo. There was the other Milo and the Milo before him and the Milo before him. So basically, Michael has seen many different children who sleep in the bed next to him, come in a facility, and then presumably die. At some point, one of them was named Milo. So he just starts calling him Milo. Michael Morbius also does paper folding.
Yeah. It's to show his supreme intellect.
No, he fixes Milo. Okay. Something about this blood disease requires him to be hooked up to some sort of a
Blood
machine?
transfusion machine.
Oh, wait, that makes sense.
Yes, like a phlebotomy machine. So take out blood, put blood back in, and it seems like it basically stopped putting blood back in and was just continually taking blood out.
It was malfunctioning.
Yeah, he was just dying in front of him.
The machine starts making bleep, bleep, bleep noises, and Milo's...
No nurse attending to the situation.
There's no adults anywhere until well after the emergency. No, because Michael's even like, help!
Yep.
And no one within earshot
comes.
of a screaming child comes to assist this dying child.
So he grabs the best tool for any medical physician, a ballpoint pen.
Yes, sir. He pops some generic fuse out of the...
privy to the technology.
We're too dumb. It's not for us. It's for genius. It's for boy geniuses like Michael Morbius to know,
Exactly.
and us to speculate. He pops some sort of, it looked like a fuse or something out of the machine. That's the same approximate dimensions as a spring from a ballpoint pen. He puts the spring in there, and Milo just like, he's just fine. He's okay. Cut to child Michael sitting in the office with Nicholas. I forget that actor's name. We should have prepped a little more. Got an IMDb page pulled up for some of these actors. Hey, whoa, we're still sitting here. What the fuck? There we go. Okay. Michael's sitting in the office with Dr. Nicholas.
Yep.
St. Nicholas. and Nicholas is like, look, your inexplicable MacGyver genius saved that other boy. So we are going to send you to a medical school in New York because your mechanical genius directly translates to advanced medical understanding as a child. All right.
Yep. He's a MacGyver.
Right. And we all know MacGyver was a doctor first and foremost.
Right. If works on machines, works on the human body.
Human body is a machine.
Exactly. Made of all sorts of signals.
Made of meat metal. Michael's American. Mm-hmm. Why is he in Greece other than... we're sending you to a medical school in New York. He could have just been in New York the whole time. He could have already been at the school. If it was a medical school, you would assume it's a medical facility. They have sick patients there. He could have just been a patient at the school. Why Greece? Because the literal next scene, Michael. All right, so they're like, Michael, we're sending you to New York to go to this medical school. And he's gone. He's gone to medical school. Milo is reading a goodbye letter from Michael next to an open window. It flies out the window into the street where some shitbag children roam the streets, all wearing like private school matching uniforms. So these nasty little Greek children pick up the letter. Milo hobbles down on his crutches to be, hey, you've got my letter. And they just beat the shit out of him. Well, no, they push him or something.
And he clocks one of them with his crutch.
Right
in the temple. Almost kills him.
The kid doesn't get back up. Does he get back up?
He struggles to get back up.
Because we see the three...
As he starts getting back up, Milo starts pounding on him after the doctor arrives and shoos everyone away.
Right. The three other kids run off, and the one kid is just motionless on the ground. And that's when Nicholas is like, oh my God, these dirty fucking children. And then Milo's just like, and he jumps on the one who's, I'm just gonna say he was dead, or at least unconscious.
No, he was definitely knocked unconscious from that crutch hit, and then he went back in for a couple other hits like an MMA fighter.
Yes, sir. Oh my god. No, he did. He just pounced on top of this unconscious bully, slapped him, punched him a few more times. I'm assuming this is to establish that Milo has like an inhuman sort of cruelty.
Oh.
I don't fucking know. It's around that scene that it just hard cuts to the present day, doesn't it?
I think so. Yes. That's right.
So he's in Switzerland with Nicholas, who is there to be part of the ceremony to present him the Nobel Prize for inventing synthetic blood.
He really just stole it from horseshoe crabs because of the blue blood.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
It looks like blue milk?
Mm-hmm.
You said phlebotomy machine?
I could be wrong.
You're not supposed to be this knowledgeable about shit and still choose to go pay money to go watch a film like Morbius.
I knew it was going to be shitty, so I wanted to pay for it to be shitty.
No, we knew what we were getting into. So he claims a Nobel Prize for inventing horseshoe crab blood for people. They brushed over that real fucking quick. It's canon for this film universe that there is artificial blue milky blood that Michael Morbius has invented. It's just in the world, like paramedics and EMTs and commonly used in hospitals.
Just like in real life with horseshoe crab blood.
Just like in real life with horseshoe crab blood. Are you pulling my leg?
No.
That's a real thing? We
Yes.
put horseshoe crab blood in people.
Yes.
And it works?
Yes.
How do you know this?
Have you thanked a horseshoe crab today?
All right, now you're just fucking with me.
So yeah, he gets the Nobel Peace Prize. We really only know it's a Nobel Peace Prize because they talk about the Swiss, or no, wait.
I think Swiss comes up somewhere in there. The king.
But that's the only way you know it's the Nobel Peace Prize.
And I think they transfer into him in the hospital room with the little sick girl.
I think so.
Who she's talking about, or he's saying something about where the subjects of the king of Switzerland are all these different countries or whatever. I don't. Anyway, there's a sick girl who's got the same blood disease as Michael Morbius and Milo. Because apparently this, as of yet, still unnamed disease is pretty common.
Vampirism? I don't know.
No, you don't call it that, because that's going to really screw up the fucking movie. They leave the room with the little girl to go to the lab. So...
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's coming down. Man, fuck this. Do you need to take a break and come back to this?
Yeah, but we probably should put electronics inside.
And they're under the cover.
Still, I'm hearing it pitter-patter.
Man, fuck this. All right, we'll take a break and come back. He's at the hospital. He's in the lab.
This is his first time.
He's doing a blood transfusion.
Oh,
at the lab.
Own personal lab. That's right. Oh, right. But they do the test first with that mouse, and they inject the mouse, and then it's experiment 117, trial 117 with this.
Whatever. Yeah.
And they are trying to get to human trials, and they inject this rat. And then the rat's like fine for a little bit, and then it rolls over and then seizes basically,
and dies.
And it looks like it just dies and goes limp.
But they're in the lab talking some nonsense, and then the second nurse comes in and is like, Michael, Dr. Morbius, Dr. Girlfriend, the little girl is dying. And they run into the room, and she's having a fucking problem. Oh, because
looks like a seizure.
That's what it is. It's specifically established that this blood disorder causes the blood to coagulate in the body. So this little girl, I think, is having kidney failure.
I thought she was having a full-blown stroke.
No, they were saying she's at the risk of having a stroke.
Oh.
So they put her in a medically induced coma.
Yep.
We never see that little girl again.
And also, this patient's room is directly connected to his own personal lab.
Within eyesight.
Right. From his lab, he could make eye contact with the patient.
And
which I guess, smart doctor.
Why not?
He's very attentive.
But I think that
that means he can only really have one personal patient at a time.
Pretty much.
And while they're doing it, nurse girlfriend, who's actually a doctor, she clarifies every single time.
Oh, because people keep calling her a nurse because she's a woman.
Right, but she's a doctor. So, and then she notices that mouse is now up and about.
What?
So now they realize that 117 was a success.
We never see that mouse again.
Nope.
So anyway, so after this scene with the little girl and the mouse and the lab and all that shit, Milo comes to visit. Milo and Michael hobble down the busy streets of New York on their crutches, having a witty conversation all along the way. And they're talking about funding. Milo is an indistinct businessman.
Entrepreneur, philanthropist.
He's a guy...
He's Tony Stark.
Without the...
Legs,
sure. He's got legs. They just don't work no good because he's so sick with his blood sickness. So... they're talking about financing. Milo's like, I've always got money. I'll give it to you if you need it. And Jared Leto's like, fuck yeah. They make what I thought was a joke about having to do the procedure in international waters. He makes what I thought was a joke about having to do the procedure in international waters. Cut to, they're on a mercenary cargo ship in the middle of the ocean.
Mercenaries who are not privy to exactly what's going on the ship.
Yeah, they don't know exactly. It's some sort of medical experiment. How many cargo ships have medical bays with, like, airlock holding cells?
Milo's got money.
Milo's got money, dude, and connections. So they're on the ship. Dr. Girlfriend performs a procedure where they inject a serum into his spine. It seems like between two specific vertebrae. She's like counting. She's like doing this motion down his back, like measuring his vertebrae with her hand. A specific spot in the back, like the middle of the back. She injects him with this shit. He lays back. She straps him down because, and I guess that makes sense because the mouse convulsed when they injected it. So they're expecting the same thing with him. Strap him to the chair. And then he's kind of like, oh, he's okay. He stabilizes or whatever. She walks out of the little, again, airlock holding cell thing with a security code on it. Goes to the desk, starts doing doctor shit at the computer. Unnamed mercenary captain walks in, starts being a braggadocious douchebag, as mercenary captains, one would assume, often are. He's like, what are you even doing in here?
And then notices that Mr. Leto is no longer in his binds.
As Mr. Leto. That tricky Mr. Leto. Never where you expect him to be. And she's like, what the fuck? Runs in, opens the door. Captain Douchebag comes in behind her. And they look up. And he's morbing around on the ceiling. Up in the corner. Morbing it up. Drops down on the captain. Does he kill the captain there, or does he just attack him?
I think he just attacks.
He attacks him. The captain runs out.
Pretty sure that nurse starts screaming at
Doctor.
Michael. Yeah, doctor keeps screaming. Michael.
Does he knock her out?
I can't remember.
She gets knocked out.
I'm pretty sure she gets like the butt of a rifle.
Oh, like the mercenaries come back in to shoot him. And she's like, fucking don't. And they're like, I was going to say gratuitous action scene, but it really wasn't that violent. I would like to, this is not an original observation. I heard a lot of people talking about this before we saw the movie. For a movie about a vampire, there is not a lot of blood.
Nope.
It almost seems like they went out of their way to make sure there wasn't a lot of blood.
Was it PG-13?
It was.
That's why.
That's exactly why. Which is dumb.
They wanted to get the teens involved.
Why?
You know, teens are edgy.
Well, it's a Jared Leto movie. And I think this would be a good time to point out, I was personally surprised when you go into the theater. I was surprised by how many people were in there until I noticed that everyone in there was like a couple. There was a dude and a lady. In multiple, was like, I'm assuming a few different friend groups, but there was like a pretty even cut of dudes and women. These dudes bringing their girlfriend to see Morbius because Jared Leto drops those panties.
Guys at least like persevered through the Twilight films, and then they got to see that man turn into Batman.
They did. Oh,
and then now they're like, okay, well maybe I'll get some reprieve with this because this is a comic book
so
movie,
at the same time, people were buying Twilight books and 30 Seconds to Mars shirts.
Yes.
At Hot Topic.
Yes.
The full flip has come.
Yes.
And now we've got Batman, Robert Pattinson.
Yep.
Morbius, Jared Leto.
Yep.
The same exact crowd 10 years later. You got shushed. I don't know if I can bring that up real quick.
I'm proud. We're
going to get back to the plot. We're going to get back to the plot of the film. But this is content. This is the original content. Any asshole can sit back and talk about the plot of the movie. We're talking about our personal experience. This is important. We'll get back to the plot of the movie. You got shushed because you were throwing popcorn and pissy shitting around, and you had so much commentary. When did you get shushed? Do you remember what part it was?
I actually don't.
It was fairly early into the film. It was probably somewhere around the boat scene that we were just discussing.
No, it was like midway through the film.
Was it?
Yeah, because I was going on for a while.
No, you were.
I got
like every scene, every piece of dialogue, you had some commentary to throw in there, and yeah, somebody a few rows down gave you a good old. Yeah, you were trying to get us kicked out. Walk us through that. We've discussed this, but for the audience at home, what's your mindset there?
So the plan is to get kicked out, but only if and only if they issue rain check tickets, because I want to give more morbid torment to these Morbius fans.
Morb'd.
Yes. Here's a rain check to see Morbius again because you missed out on a good experience the first time.
Come spend more time watching this movie. You were making a little scene.
I also like the idea of someone complaining about not having a good experience with this movie.
What was it, the film? No, it was a dude in back of me talking about the shitty movie. Would you like to see it again? Well, no.
Misty action scenes I thought were goofy.
The vampire face. That's what got you more than anything.
The Uggo face.
That weird misty effect. It's a cool looking effect. Cool. I don't understand what it was supposed to represent.
Right, like speed.
We had discussed his whole echolocation thing and trying to visualize.
Because instead of getting bit by a radioactive bat, he just made radioactive bat rabies and injected it into his spine.
It might as well be radioactive. Yeah, exactly.
How else is he just getting bat-like abilities? I think in the Marvel universe, you get bit by a radioactive thing, you get the powers of that thing.
That's true. And if you don't get bit by it, you just inject its juice into your spine.
Right.
Rabies, steroids, it's all the same thing. But he didn't get bit by the bat. He created the Batman serum, juiced up, morbed out. Yeah, you got shushed by a dude trying to score with his girlfriend.
Everyone there was trying to score with their girlfriend.
Well, except for us, but we were. What are you going to do?
Scoring with myself.
Yeah, well, I mean, it goes without saying. You know, Jared Leto's a very pretty man. You can't stare at him for an hour and a half and not get a little up. You know what I mean? So there's that. Okay, so back to the movie. He morbs on the mercenaries. And again, and first main action scene of the film, like I said, I was dozing off. But what I do recall is there are a few different shots.
They're just looking at the camera, being scared of what's coming after.
Waving guns around in this cargo hold on the ship. Like a dude, clearly the motion of the visual effects and the way the dude takes the hit, he got his throat slashed open. That's what killed him.
Right.
There's no blood.
They were exsanguinated.
With his hands?
Sure.
That's from the animated Spider-Man. That's different.
Oh, is that a real thing?
Because all right, we're getting into it now.
Oh, no.
The animated Spider-Man, the 90s Spider-Man TV show with the super kick-ass intro. So what Morbius did in that show, he had these weird suckers on the palms of his hands. He would drain your plasma through the palms of his hands. I'll put this out there. Sony, I know you're watching. If you want to pull any content for your future films from any previous shit, grab that 90s TV show. I think that was Fox produced. So, well, no, wait. Fox and Sony work together, don't they? I don't know anymore. Anyway, talk to Fox about the shit that they did with the TV show.
It's mostly owned by Disney now.
Oh, fuck. No, you're right. It doesn't matter. Don't do the non-violence. Don't do the censorship shit. That was goofy. But still, there's some other shit from the show that really kicks ass. Like the opening, the fucking intro music. Exsanguinated. That was in the movie. That was a word they used in the movie.
Yes, it was.
But that's my thing, though. So what we're being led to believe with this film is that Morbius is, in a more traditional sense of a vampire, sucking people's blood out with his teeth or his mouth.
Right, because they refer to afterwards. So, okay, he morbs on all those guys.
Yes.
Morbin time's over. And he's like, oh, fuck, what just happened? I don't know what just happened.
Conveniently,
I just see dead bodies.
and conveniently, this mercenary cargo ship has a closed circuit security system,
Right.
cameras.
So he goes and watches the feed, and he pukes.
Well, I guess it could be stomach churning if he was literally full of a few gallons of human blood. I don't know how much blood's in a person, but he presumably drained like 7 people.
So he was just seeing
what he did.
Oh, this is why
my
I'm
tummy so full.
exactly. Why am I full? Oh, full of them.
I don't know. So the rescue people they get on a boat. They find the dead mercenaries, unconscious Dr. Girlfriend.
And that's when they start to introduce more of these detective characters.
Tyrese Gibson, Al Madrigal play 2 detectives who, and again, this is another example. I don't think we've talked about this much.
The ending.
Clearly, parts of the parts of the plot of this movie are just not there. We'll get to that in a minute. So they get to the boat. They find the dead mercenaries and Dr. Bancroft. And the mercenaries go to the dead body place. Bancroft goes to the hospital. Morbius sneaks his happy ass back to his own lab.
24 hours after he's been injected.
Yes.
He's been testing how long he can go without artificial blood.
Yes.
Even though he's already had, by this point, real blood.
He had a shitload of real blood.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how he figured it out that fast, but I'm not Michael Morbius.
Yeah. Probably sets a timer and wait. I mean, he probably didn't sleep in those 24 hours.
No, I don't. I would assume he doesn't need sleep. He runs on blood.
Yeah, runs all that sustenance.
Oh, it's all blood.
Yep.
I think we get our first gratuitous shirtless Jared Leto shot. That man is 51 years old. I would like to point out now at this point in the video, Google currently a picture of Jared Leto. That man is 51 years old. You will never look that good when you're 50. Fuck you. None of us will.
No.
So he locks himself in a containment cell to see what happens when the 6-hour time limit runs out.
And conveniently, Milo appears. He helped hire a bunch of thugs to get him onto this boat.
That makes a little more sense.
And then he sees on the news, there's dead bodies on a boat and one doctor that's alive.
Yes.
But not Michael Morbius.
No Morbius.
So he's like, okay, time to go check on Morbius because I paid for those guys.
Yeah.
Not going to get a refund.
Comes in, he's like, Michael, what's wrong with you? And he's like fucked up in the cell, and he's all emaciated and looking like he looked initially, all like dying and shit. And yeah, I don't know where the blood came from, by the way. He's just got blood on his hands now in the cell so that he could write blood.
Underline it.
And Milo is like, you need the blood? Michael, you need the blood. And he hobbles over to the freezer, grabs a bag of fucking horseshoe crab blood. Good thing he didn't grab the real shit. That could have gotten, I don't know. I don't care. I'm gonna stop thinking about it. He grabs a blue blood. Somehow knows the passcode to get into the cell because it's another one of those passcoded airlock doors. I don't fucking know. Don't they make it? They make it. There's a line about that. How'd you know the code? It's something backwards. It's your password for everything. Don't they say something like that?
I think so.
I didn't catch it because it was so fucking. Doesn't matter. I got in. Oh yeah, we're watching a movie. And I can't tell. It was like the third or fourth time because that's Jared Leto chugging a bag of blood happens a lot in this movie. And every time it happened, I couldn't help but notice that he wasn't totally emptying the bag. But it made me wonder, is it a prop effect? Like, I know they had like with like baby dolls come with accessories that it's like a little bottle full of like milk or whatever, and you turn it upside down like you're feeding the baby, and the milk looks like it drains out of the bottle, but then you turn it back right side up and the fluid refills it again. It's just like it's a visual effect. Was it one of those things, or was Jared Leto really just like throwing back pouches of like whatever, I don't know, blueberry smoothie or whatever the fuck they had in those bags? I don't know why. That's really, now that I've said it, I realize that was a dumb thing to get hung up on, but I wondered about it. Milo gives him the blood. He is fine. Milo can't, at this point, it's hard to ignore that Morbius is like totally fucking fine now. He's not on crutches, he's not weak or whatever. And Milo's like, what did you do? I want some of this. How did you get this? And Morbius is like, no, it's a curse. And Milo's like, fuck it, Ace. Give it to me now.
Just like the blood diseases occurred.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, which I feel like you said that, didn't you?
Yeah, that was part of my commentary.
That wasn't said in the movie. That was a throwaway. That's a freebie line they could have thrown in there. They didn't say it.
And in this argument, it results in basically Michael screaming at him, telling him to leave.
Vampire face.
Yep. Uggo face.
Uggo face?
Yeah.
Man, unless you're into that.
Heavy wrinkles?
Just super emaciated. Sharp fangs and sunken in cheekbones.
Yeah, very gaunt face.
Nose recedes like a bat's nose.
Yeah, you just lose cartilage.
Whatever, man. That's because it all goes to his ears so we can get those ridges. So we can hear echolocation.
Yep.
And at this point, it's not explicitly shown, I don't think, but Milo presumably snags one of the vials of the serum in this scene.
Right, there's 3 doses total that were made.
Michael took the first one.
Yep.
2 left.
We don't see any of them taken. It's one
later.
of the Chekhov's guns that's put on
literally
that's hung up
on the table,
and it's on the table. The nurse that was actually tending to this patient, the sick girl,
who was in a coma, presumably
the same
still
blood disease.
Right. Again, we didn't see that little girl again.
She's being chased like a horror movie scene again, like on the boat.
in this fully functional modern hospital that for some reason is experiencing electrical failure, and the lights in the hallway are going off and flickering out and shit like that.
And as she gets to the lights and turns them on as they're turning off behind her,
yes,
she then turns around and it's something behind her, and we see that she's dead.
The claw grabs her by the neck.
Yeah, claw grabs her by the neck, and then the lights go out again, and you see them just go out into darkness.
Yes.
Cut to in the morning, Morbius is awakened from his timing watch going off. It's been 6 hours.
He's still in the lab?
He needs to feed.
Yes.
He's with the patient.
Oh, yeah, he's in the room with the little girl, isn't he?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. And then he goes out the hall and sees all the chaos.
There's a crowd gathered around.
Right, and he finds out the nurse was killed. And he thinks he has done it. So then he goes into his lab, grabs all the blue horseshoe crab blood,
and bails.
But then gets stopped by the detectives.
Yes.
And this is another instance of the weird editing thing.
Yes.
Because the detectives acknowledge Michael Morbius because they recognize him, even though he's trying to.
He's on his crutches. He's putting the act on. He's back on his crutches.
Right.
He doesn't need them though.
Right.
Because when he bolts, he throws the crutches down and bolts.
Right.
The editing. The Tyrese Gibson. This is how they recognize Michael Morbius, because he's a world-renowned doctor for inventing this fake blood. And Tyrese says, the audio says, "Your blood saved my arm in Afghanistan." But you watch the movie, his mouth says, "Your blood saved my life in Afghanistan."
Right.
Weird. They corner him. They're like, "Hey, you're gonna come with us for questioning." He throws the crutches at him or whatever, and bolts down the hallway. Before he starts morbing up the stairs, there's the middle of the stairwell, just starts jumping 20 feet at a time.
Yep.
And there's a beat cop runs to the bottom of the stairs and just starts shooting at this supernatural doctor.
Do some bullet time scenes where Morbius is dodging the bullets.
They did that with the mercenary scene too.
Always
the whole
Uggo face.
The weird, because you gotta get
vampire.
Exactly.
They gotta show
the
vampire mode.
Wispy fast motion and then cut in the slow mo, the claws and shit. He gets to the roof of the hospital. Does he jump to a different building? I want to say he didn't, because this makes even less sense.
So he gets up on top of the roof.
Yeah, he's about to get blown off the roof by this weird wind that's happening. But he stops and he catches himself. And then Tyrese is just right there.
It's almost like an air current.
Sure. Oh, for sure.
That's what we learn later.
Ooh. Fuck. But anyway, so in the amount of time this supernatural humanoid being, whatever you want, this Michael Morbius vampire man, has leapt literal hundreds of feet to the roof of this building and then run 20 feet to the edge of the building, Tyrese is just right there. Bam. Gun drawn. Don't move. Fine. Tyrese catches him on the roof. They arrest him. They take him to jailhouse. They're interrogating him, as cops often do. And that was one of the few funny. We can play footsie. I don't care. That was one of the few bits in the movie that I found genuinely funny. Is they sit down in the interrogation room and Al Madrigal slaps a little bottle of holy water on the table, and Tyrese looks at him and he's like, "He's a vampire." It's holy water, triple blessed. Goofy throwaway line. I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
that tickled me. I enjoyed that.
I think they ask him about what's going on with him, or how did you do it, or what's going on, and he just says, I can't tell you.
Something to that effect. They don't really push it. They just want to know why he killed the nurse, and he doesn't really give him an answer. Throw him in a cell. He's because he hadn't got his blood. Milo shows up claiming to be his lawyer, which is apparently all you need to say to get in past the cops.
Yeah.
He gets into the cell,
Sits down on his bed.
I'm gonna get you out of here, blah 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 blah. Reaches into his pocket, pulls out a little bag of fake blood. Milo pulls a bag of fake blood out, throws it down on the bed, and he's like, that'll get you through whatever. See you later. Michael grabs the blood, chugs it, notices that Milo has left his cane behind. And that is all the evidence he needs to know that Milo stole the serum and is now morbing around, killing nurses. And he just blasts right through the wall of the cell.
Yep.
Echolocates to find Milo
Speaking with a guy at a newsstand.
Yes, that's right. And he attacks the dude at the newsstand. Sucks his blood off camera because we can't show that. It's too violent for the kids. So Michael finds him.
Yep. They start getting into an argument. They kind of vampire struggle a little bit. They don't really fight that much there. Milo just starts running. Michael chases him. They end up in a subway station. The cops show up because it's New York. There's cops just everywhere when the plot needs it, and nowhere when the plot needs it. And like 5 cops stop and draw their guns on him. They're like, "Whoa, fucking stop it!" Michael throws his hands up because he's a good boy. Milo. Now, granted, they do the flashy, misty vampire effects. He throws like one punch that has this crazy. His whole body kind of moves with it, but he knocks out like 5 cops. And the stance that he's in when he stops moving, it looks like he threw one crazy hook that just knocked out all 5 of these cops. Next time, so Al Madrigal and Tyrese Gibson show up to the crime scene where these 5 cops, I swear to God, have not moved from where they have fallen, having been not triple, quadruple, 5 times punched by Milo, and they've all had their blood drained. Unless Milo stopped, when Michael took off flying in front of the subway train, unless Milo stopped, went back and drained their blood, that's what he had to do. That had to be what he did. Because there's no way he knocked them all out with one punch and drained their blood all at the same time. We would have seen it. It was a full open shot where he's like standing there doing a little fucking pose after he knocks them all out. So he must have chased Michael down the subway. Michael took off flying and he went, fuck it. Went back to the 5 cops that are still unconscious because they got punched out by a vampire man. Sucked all their blood. The movie didn't show that. Doesn't show a lot. Had to be what happened.
Michael goes to meet with Dr. Bancroft. Oh, no, he just finds her. She hops on a bus trying to get away from the cops. The 2 detectives come to ask her more questions, and she runs and hops on a bus or something.
That's right.
And Michael inexplicably seems to be on the bus. He knew to get on the bus like 3 stops before she got on the bus. I don't care. So they go to some little diner, some hole-in-the-wall cafe somewhere, and they start talking about whatever's going on. And he overhears the lady at the cash register basically being like, these 2 thugs come in and they hand her like a counterfeit $100 bill, and and she's like, no, this is no good. And he's like, no,
here's another one. Keep for yourself.
Take for yourself. We're gonna you are clearly noticing you have the little marker that you can note when this thing is counterfeit, but we're just gonna bribe you with more counterfeit. Maybe that's how it works. I don't fucking know. Michael overhears this. Because one of the thugs says we got to get back to the lab, and lab is an important word in this movie because he's a doctor, and doctors need labs.
Right.
He follows these thugs back to the lab, where it's presumably, again, a counterfeit money laundering like laboratory. I don't understand. It's just like in like some. It literally looks like the courtyard of like a burned out apartment building. I don't understand where this is supposed to be. But he follows them back there, makes some vague tough guy kind of like spiel.
Exactly. And one of them pulls a knife.
Right.
He goes to stab him, and he stops him with his hand.
He catches the knife. He catches his hand.
Right.
Says, there's like 26 bones in the human hand, and starts naming them as he's like squeezing this guy's hand, and you hear the bones breaking.
Right. Ends with the pinky.
This little stinky pinky, which that is an anal play reference, and I like that from my PG-13 movies. And this guy is like on his knees in pain because his hand has been crushed.
And we're approaching my favorite line in the film.
He's like, "What are you?"
And he says, "I am Venom."
And he does a vampire face.
Yeah.
and again, I only know this from the trailers, but that's played off as a weird joke in the trailers. In this movie, that's the whole line. He just says, "I'm Venom."
It's pure intimidation.
Right. And then he's like, "Get out of here," basically. And the dude gets up and runs off.
Score lab.
He gets, so now he's got a supervillain lab.
Hey, he's anti-hero.
His anti-hero lab. Jesus. The detectives go to Dr. Bancroft's apartment. She's gone, and her cat's gone, which means she bailed.
Right.
I think I'm getting this right. I gotta piss. Should I keep talking and just piss off in the yard? I'll do it. I'm not gonna. If I'm not showing it on camera, it doesn't matter. I'm doing it.
Al Madrigal does do a funny little bit where he's trying to figure out if the cat's there, and he decides, I'll shake the litter box.
Oh my god!
To see if the cat's here, like shaking for food.
Because cats eat their own poop.
Yes, exactly. And then cut back to the lab, and while they're in the lab, she's got to feed her cat. Opens up a can of cat food, and cuts her finger. And with the finger cut, now she's bleeding. And then now you see Mr. Michael Morbius struggle with wanting the taste of human blood. Turning uggo face, getting all ready to strike. And then he says something about, like, "You're going to have to plug that up."
No, he doesn't. He's not Christian Bale. He's a different Batman.
She's like, "Oh yeah, sorry," or patches herself up. I can't remember exactly.
Well, and
then cut to basically emotional scene between the two of them, and he's like, "I wasn't really gonna actually hurt you."
Oh, that's when they kiss. That's when she officially becomes Dr. Girlfriend.
Right. So seemingly they're a couple. It seems like throughout most of this film.
Well, there's energy. There's
energy, but they've known each other for a while, and they've had chemistry, and then now at this point,
chemistry. They're doctors.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they're on the roof having this romantic encounter.
Oh.
And then they decide...
That makes it sound so much classier than it is.
Yeah, they decide to basically have their first kiss to officiate themselves as a couple.
Right.
Because she's ableist and won't kiss him until she knows.
She doesn't want him when he's crippled. Somewhere around this part is where we get the scene where Milo goes to see Nicholas. Mm-hmm. I know there's some other scenes in there where Milo goes to a nightclub and is like smooching up on some girl, and her boyfriend jumps in and is like, "Fucking, her drinks are whatever. I'm buying her drinks, dude." And then Milo's just like, "See you later then," and he fucking leaves, goes and fucking gargoyles up on the roof.
Right.
So just the three dudes
all get killed on CCTV.
They notice in the CCTV that it's not Morbius who killed these guys.
Right.
And I think that's when Madrigal makes another joke about like how vampires spread or whatever. I don't know. There's a couple. That's most of Al Madrigal's stuff is just him making quirky little vampire jokes.
Yeah.
But about the third or fourth time that happens, it just starts going over your head because it's his whole character. Yeah, whatever. Milo goes to see Nicholas. I don't know. Fuck me. If it's Milo's apartment, if it's Nicholas's apartment.
I believe it's Milo's apartment.
Nicholas just happens to be coming over.
But where's the other scene that's my favorite? I think it's before Matt Smith, when Milo goes out to go clubbing.
Oh, it is.
They do a little bit of fan service for Matt Smith fans.
It's a little Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of those vibes.
He's got his shirt off, getting himself all clothed up to get ready to go out clubbing, and he's doing this this pose and everything, looking in the mirror, doing.
And he looks
blue
great, by the way. I don't know if Matt Smith always has that kind of physique, but he's looking pretty good.
And he's doing blue steel in the mirror, but when he does it, he goes uggo face with his vampire.
Which is,
it's so just.
and I think we talked about this earlier, but off camera, I mean. So let's go back to this now. The vampire face, the vampire effects in this movie are purely digital. I don't think that there are any physical prosthetic makeup effects done for the vampire face or the vampire claws or any of that.
No.
Or whoever was on set running the show. When to tell the people, Morbius or Milo, who are the vampires, when exactly they're going to be vamping out.
When it's Morb'd time for them.
When it's Morb'd time. Because it seems like there are multiple instances where they just they just make a tough, scary guy face that they vampire their nose and their cheekbones and their fangs and the face turns gray. They vampire out. But it's always just like a weird.
All the blood goes to their dick. That's why.
Well, that explains it.
They get hard.
They get up.
Yeah, they get up. There you go.
If watching that movie gets you up, I can't imagine what being in that movie would do to you. That's crazy, dude. Yeah, he's dancing in the mirror, vamping on and off. And then he goes out clubbing, where he meets the dudes, kills them in a parking lot, CCTV, there's more of them, cops, blah, 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 blah. Goes to see Nicholas, basically accusing Nicholas of playing favorites with Michael.
Right.
When Michael's the one he's sent away to go to medical school, and Milo's the one that he's presumably been living within a relative distance of. Because this is all happening in New York, by the way. All three of these characters that we met 25 years ago in Greece now all live in New York, despite the fact only Michael was sent there for medical school. Milo accuses him of favoriting Michael. And I think they say it in that scene. Nicholas is like, that's horse shit. I've been taking care of you. If anything, you get to say...
I've devoted my life to you.
Yeah, that's a claim that you get to make, that you're the one I play favorite with. But yeah, they're yelling at each other and arguing about this. Nicholas seems to have figured out that Milo is some sort of monster at this point. And Milo says something about call Michael, and then he claws his tummy, and then he closed hand, open hand, I don't know. I'm assuming it's claws because he's got vampire hands. Strikes him somewhere in the head, which sends him flying. So he hits Nicholas in the left side of the head, because then Nicholas goes flying to the right side of the room. But then later we notice that when Michael gets there after he calls him on the phone, his injury is in the right side of his neck.
And he's over by the window.
And he's crawled out of the apartment. Yeah, oh my God, we're almost done. We're almost fucking done. I don't think we missed anything. I honestly don't. I don't think it matters. Michael comes to Nicholas, puts a rag or something up to his wound, and Nicholas is like, he Uncle Bens him. I'm dying. Go do something about it. You have to
stop Milo.
You have to stop Milo. And then...
You're my only hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Uncle Ben, Princess Leia, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Dies. Nicholas dies. Michael's very upset. Bails out of the building. Lands on top of some other building. Starts echolocating.
Right.
And hears that Milo has now got Dr. Girlfriend Bancroft, Michael's Morb'd girlfriend, on a different building, somewhere on the roof of the building, somewhere in the city. Say his name. And he's clawing at her, Michael, help me, Michael. And Michael hears this. And he also hears there's a very distinctive kind of stabby, cutty, gushy sound where he clearly just sticks a claw into her fucking jugular. And Michael hears that and is like, fucking morbs across the fucking city. Gets to the rooftop in relatively short time that she didn't bleed out yet.
This is when he has his purple robe.
Well, because he's got his full he's fully morbed at this point.
Yeah.
I honestly, other than the 90s cartoon, I couldn't give you a definitive look for Morbius.
I think this look they were trying to go for here at the end,
the final look,
was his final look.
Big black trench coat,
back,
long ratty wet hair,
right?
The whole school shooter vibe. That's what it is. He gets to the roof. Girlfriend's laying there dying. He laid the bait and then took off again. I don't know what that's about, but it doesn't matter. Michael gets to the girlfriend, And she says something about like make it count or something like that.
Right, and then bites his lip.
Yeah, well, they kiss.
Yeah.
And then she bites his lip. First of all, I have no doubt that Jared Leto has very soft lips. But that bite seemed really minor to just split his lip open like that so that blood drips out and she can fucking lick it off her fucking lip. That was odd. We'll get back to that.
Hey, that's one of the scenes where they actually have blood.
One of the few scenes where they actually have blood. It's sexy blood is different from violent blood.
Right.
That's not a period joke. She bites his lip, licks a little bit of his blood, and then he just fucking just bites the shit out of her and drains all her blood. Which I'm assuming that's what the whole make it count line was indicating.
Right.
Very
he
vague.
Acknowledges that too.
Right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. He does.
And then that's when he goes in.
Fucking bites the shit out of her.
Yep.
Exsanguinates her.
Yep.
Gets all morbed up. And then
Fully
goes
juiced.
Fully juiced, dude. He's all on that Morb juice. He finds Milo. They have the CGI fucking clusterfuck mess fight, because it's all just Morb'd swirls of vapors and visual effects.
Yep.
They end up in the obligatory abandoned construction site where every superhero showdown has to happen.
Right.
And they fall through, or rather Milo tackles him through like several levels of like a building, like a abandoned or under construction type building, right? Milo just eats shit. He just lands in the fucking rubble on the ground. Michael, for some reason, this was established earlier actually in the lab, way earlier, when he's testing out his new formed abilities. He has the superhuman ability to hang upside down by his knees over poles and bars. So there's a conveniently placed pipe hanging across the battlefield.
Gymnastic pipe, yeah.
This gymnastic bar. Milo is laying in the rubble on the ground. Michael is hanging by his knees upside down, and he screams out, "Ah!" And the camera kind of follows the echo of his voice into the well-known miles of underground caverns beneath New York City, aka the sewer system, and summons a swarm of bats. Because presumably, despite the fact that he has built his DNA around a very specific breed of bat in Costa Rica, any old bat will do. Mm-hmm. He uses the force, basically,
right,
to use this swarm of bats to throw Milo across the battlefield and pin him to the wall.
Yeah, basically pin him to the wall with bats, just bombarding him.
That was one thing we did miss. The whole him and Dr. Girlfriend hanging out in the thug laboratory was to make not even a specific thing. Like, you would think they would use that this is that third vial of serum that we never see. You would think they would use that to come up with some sort of an anti-serum is what you would call it.
Antidote?
I don't know. But that's what you would think.
Cure.
But it's not what they did.
Cure.
But that's not what they did at all.
The cure for the cure.
The cure for the cure was basically just cook up some poison. It's got nothing to do with the serum at all.
Does the whole...
It causes his blood to coagulate.
Yes.
Anyway, he pins him to the wall with the bats, sticks him with the poison, and Milo does this weird whimpery, like, "Michael, you can't kill me. You kill me, Michael. Michael." And then he fucking dies like a bitch. Like, it was a weird death. It was not... Yeah. But I guess maybe that's the point, is that Michael isn't supposed to feel a victory about this. He's supposed to feel like he just lost everything because he did.
Yeah.
And then we cut to the cops who are standing around an inexplicable, like, 6-foot wide hole in the pavement. And the swarm of bats flies out of the hole, and Michael flies out with them. And somewhere around there, we get the shot of Dr. Girlfriend opens her eyes. She's still laying on the same rooftop where she presumably died, but she opens her eyes, and her eyes are red. Just like Morbius. She's Morb'd now.
Credits. Mid-credits scene number 1.
And everyone knows about these at this point.
Yep.
So we're not spoiling anything. I wasn't going to give a single spoiler warning throughout this whole fucking thing, and I'm not going to start now.
And a big, huge tear opens up.
Big purple tear. The exact same visual effect from...
They just borrowed it.
Wait, are we about to spoil a different movie?
I don't give a fuck.
I don't either. Spider-Man No Way Home. It's all about multidimensional tears and shit. I think that was in the trailer. That's fine to say. But anyway, it's the exact same visual effect. It's this big magical purple tear in the sky.
I'm pretty sure they just took the shot
From the movie?
From the movie.
Possible. Likely.
They just bought it.
Yeah. Cut to the interior of a prison, presumably the same prison Michael was in. I really don't think it fucking matters.
Yep.
And there's like a light, a weird mystical light is showing through the window on one of the prison cells. And the camera closes in and turns and looks in the cell. And it's Michael Keaton.
He says, well, I hope they got better food here.
Oh, I hope they got better food in this joint.
Yeah.
Because that's how tough prison guys talk.
Yeah.
And Adrian Toombs is a tough prison guy.
Cut back to credits.
Yeah. Cut back to credits for a couple minutes, and then we cut to somebody, probably Michael Morbius. No, isn't it intercut with Morbius driving in the car and the newscast of them talking about a man named Adrian Toombs has inexplicably appeared inside this prison.
Yes, exactly.
And our legal records do not show any instance of his existence or why he would be in prison. So we're just going to let him out. He gets out of the car. Presumably he was told to meet somebody out here. That's not conveyed to us. That information is not given to us. He's just driving. He gets somewhere. He gets out of the car.
And I'm pretty sure that scene, too, is stolen out of Homecoming.
Oh, the effect of him flying up and landing?
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, you're probably right.
And I think they just dubbed over his line.
That's why it seemed so dubbed.
Think about the logistics. At least
whatever it called between the practical effect and the digital effect of rendering that vulture costume.
Yeah, we're gonna do this for a mid-credits scene.
No. We're just gonna take the exact footage from the movie,
Homecoming,
edit him, crop him out of the shot so that we can get him just landing.
Just
in
have
this
Michael
field.
Morbius interacting with
make the lighting match.
I think I got here because of something.
Something got to do with Spider-Man. First of all, first mention of Spider-Man in this entire movie is the mid-credits scene.
And the Daily Bugle.
And that's true. Someone was reading a news article out of the Daily Bugle. Fucking hell. I think guys like us should team up, do some good. Which is a weird line because we know the Vulture's not a good guy. And Morbius just goes, intriguing. Back to credits. That's Morbius. I think we hit all the important parts. I don't really care. It's so stupid and redundant and a waste of time for me to say, this movie's bad. But it wasn't good. It was an experience. There are few movies like Morbius. I can tell you that for sure. I honestly feel like any future projects Sony makes going forward are going to be worsened just by being related to this movie.
This all don't make sense.
It don't make sense.
Why Adrian?
It don't make sense.
This world now.
And that is the worst part with Morbius. It's not. There are so many things that this movie could be that it's not because it just doesn't make any fucking sense.
Here's something that does make sense though.
Okay.
So in 2016,
okay,
you had Humongous. 2018, Big Chungus.
No.
2020, Among Us.
No.
And now 2022, Morbius.
They're all connected.
All connected.
How?
It's a timeline.
And you know what? It makes just as much sense of this movie. Yeah, I don't know, man. Morbius. We paid money to see it, so whatever comes out in the future, we're partially responsible for. I want my producer credit. If you made it this far, I have to assume you give a shit. Medical drama is incoming. You're getting 2 videos out of it, so I upheld my weird plug from the Reno video. Medical drama is happening. 2 videos. Stay tuned for that. My main take from this movie: a midlife crisis emo phase can serve as a springboard to a moderately successful career as a Hollywood weirdo. So this is what I'm going for now. In the next couple of years, I'm gonna start a screamo band, and it's to the moon from there. And that's what I got.
What's the band name gonna be?
I don't know.
Okay.
This movie sucked. can't see. All right, we might see some good movies and discuss those. But expect most of these. No, that's not fair to say. We're going to start doing movie reviews. This is just the first one. You're welcome.